I'm just kind of ready for the next chapter and a new challenge in my life, but I think the reason I decided to announce it when I did was just to have that closure.
Caitlin Clark's life changed in an instant. It all started when Michael Jordan and Lexie Hull walked into the room during an emotional moment that left everyone stunned. The basketball legend and the rising WNBA star revealed an incredible $52 million Nike contract created especially for Clark. Her eyes immediately widened. The crowd fell completely silent. The reaction that followed is something fans will never forget. But why did Hull and Jordan choose this exact moment to make such a powerful announcement? And what could this historic agreement mean for Caitlin, for Nike, and for the future of women's sports? The story had been building for quite some time. Long before the confetti fell at the 2024 WNBA draft, Caitlin Clark had already rewritten the history books again and again. She was far more than an outstanding athlete. She had become the driving force behind women's college basketball. From her very first season with the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caitlin turned ordinary games into must-watch events. Every time she stepped onto the court, something exciting seemed ready to happen. Pulling up from well beyond the arc, taking impossible shots with complete confidence, she amazed even the most experienced analysts with the precision and fearlessness of her game. By the beginning of 2024, something extraordinary had happened. Caitlin Clark was no longer just a household name across America. Her popularity had spread far beyond the country's borders and was reaching audiences around the world. Hours before tip-off, fans were already lining up just to watch her warm up. Every time her jersey appeared on television, viewership numbers surged. In fact, during the 2023 to 2024 season, attendance and ticket sales for several of Caitlin's college games even surpassed those of NBA games. She wasn't simply attracting fans. She was creating an entire movement. Her accomplishments were remarkable. In March 2024, Caitlin Clark broke the NCAA's all-time scoring record inside the packed Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City, finishing with more points than any player before her, male or female. The entire world stopped to watch. For a brief moment, everything else seemed to stand still. ESPN delivered exclusive coverage, while international broadcasters quickly featured the historic achievement. From digital billboards in Tokyo to cereal boxes across the Midwest, her face seemed to be everywhere. This had become much bigger than college basketball. Caitlin Clark had grown into an international sports star. So when April 15, 2024, the night of the WNBA draft, finally arrived, there was never any real doubt about who would be selected first overall. The only question was how quickly the Indiana Fever would make the pick. And when they did, it felt less like a draft selection and more like the crowning of a new star in front of an energetic crowd in Brooklyn, New York. The audience erupted. Cameras flashed from every direction, and basketball legends looked on with approval. But what happened next changed the story completely, as two legendary figures stepped forward in a moment that surprised both fans and insiders alike. Lexie Hull, one of the WNBA's rising stars, stood alongside basketball icon Michael Jordan. Together, they revealed a partnership that no one saw coming. Nike was offering Caitlin Clark an incredible $52 million agreement. It wasn't only about basketball shoes or brand promotion. It was about building an entire legacy around her story, her personal style, and her remarkable rise. Across the sports world, the quiet speculation surrounding her future suddenly became headline news. The expression on Caitlin Clark's face, captured on camera at that exact moment, said everything. She looked surprised, grateful, and overwhelmed with emotion. But this agreement represented much more than a major contract. It was a story about perfect timing, lasting legacy, and how Lexie Hull and Michael Jordan chose to support not just one player, but a movement. So, what happens when Lexie Hull and Michael Jordan become part of something much bigger than a business deal? Stay with us to find out. The competition to sign Caitlin Clark shook the world of women's sports. By the time she arrived in Brooklyn for the 2024 WNBA draft, she was no longer only a basketball superstar. She had become one of the biggest names in sports marketing. Billion-dollar companies were closely following every shot she took, every post-game interview she gave, and every step she made in her sneakers. It wasn't only the fans who were excited about her incredible rise. The global endorsement race had reached full speed. The battle to secure Caitlin Clark's signature stretched into corporate boardrooms around the world. Behind closed doors, reports of massive endorsement offers were already spreading in early March 2024. Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, and Puma weren't simply trying to sign another athlete. They were competing for the most influential female basketball player on the market. Every company understood exactly what was at stake. Caitlin Clark represented much more than elite talent on the basketball court. She symbolized a new era of attention, popularity, and commercial success in women's sports. Under Armour made an aggressive move early. Reports leaked from its Baltimore headquarters describing an attractive offer worth $16 million over 4 years, along with the promise of a signature shoe, something rarely given to female athletes. That alone generated major headlines. Adidas followed with a quieter but carefully planned proposal worth $6 million across a 4-year deal. The company had also reportedly developed a prototype shoe inspired by Caitlin's style of play, creating even more excitement. Puma explored the opportunity as well. But as the bidding continued and the numbers climbed higher, the companies stepped away from the competition. At that point, this was no longer ordinary business. It had become a full-scale battle. Then, just as everyone waited in suspense, Nike made its move. This was far more than a simple contract. It was a defining moment. Only 3 days after the Indiana Fever selected Caitlin Clark with the first overall pick in April 2024, Nike presented an offer that changed everything. The agreement included an 8-year deal with a reported $28 million base value. But that was only the beginning. According to people familiar with the negotiations, performance bonuses, brand royalties, and global marketing activations could increase the total value of the contract to an incredible $52 million. Nike also went one step further. To make the moment even more meaningful, the company brought together 2 influential figures. Michael Jordan, whose Jumpman brand transformed the basketball business, and Lexie, the rising WNBA star known for her support of fairness in the game. Together, they offered Clark more than just a contract. They welcomed her into a lasting legacy. Caitlin Clark arrived at what she believed was an ordinary Nike brand meeting during a private event in Los Angeles. Instead, she was greeted by Michael Jordan himself, standing beside Lexie, who held an elegant black box marked with Caitlin's initials. Inside was the prototype of her very first signature shoe. Cameras captured the exact moment she realized what was happening. Her eyes grew wide before surprise quickly turned into tears, and she lifted her hand to her face. In that unforgettable instant, it felt as though one generation was passing the torch to the next. But what was it about that emotional moment that moved Caitlin Clark to tears when 2 basketball icons welcomed her into history? Stay with us, because you won't want to miss what comes next. The signature shoe that changed everything. Caitlin Clark revealed her very first signature sneaker, a bold, modern design carrying her own name. For her, this was much more than another career milestone. It became a moment that echoed through decades of basketball history. The sports world had not witnessed a partnership this meaningful since 1984, when a young Michael Jordan signed his groundbreaking deal with Nike. This time, though, the story was about more than performance alone. It was about opportunity, influence, and the future of women's sports. Just a few days after her unforgettable moment at the Brooklyn WNBA draft, the announcement became official. Nike's $52 million offer was already historic, but it also included something even more exclusive, a signature shoe line created around Caitlin Clark's personality and unique style. As a result, she became only the 3rd player in WNBA history to receive that honor. Even more impressive, she achieved it at such an early point in her professional career. At its core, the agreement represented a bold investment. Nike wasn't simply signing another player. The company was investing in a movement that had begun with sold-out college arenas and record-breaking scoring performances before growing into a major business force. In many ways, it reflected a modern version of the blueprint first established with Michael Jordan, while adapting it for a new generation. Back in 1984, when Nike took a chance on the young rookie Michael Jordan, The company offered him far more than just a salary.